Hello and welcome to the Titleist Performance Institute out here in Carlsbad, California. We've just come out here to be shown the new Titleist 917 driver that they're just about to launch. And it really is a very exciting opportunity to see exactly how they've put the new technology into the new driver. Now, I'm going to test it. I'm going to test it up against my previous generation Titleist 915 driver, which I like very much. But before I get on to actually how it performed in the tests, I just want to run you through some of the key features. Now, when we were talking to the guys in the R&D department, they were saying that the real key to golf club design, to driver design at the moment, is increasing ball speeds on off-centre hits. So there's a new active recoil channel that's slightly thinner in the toe and the heel. That should help ball speeds on off-centre hits. There's a new radial speed face, which is a sort of face that's slightly thicker and thinner in certain areas. That should help to produce that little bit more ball speed too. Now, the one thing about this driver you are certainly going to notice as soon as you pick it up is the introduction of the SureFit CG, which sits just here. This is a weight that can be put into this weight port here that allows people to customize a draw or a fade bias into the driver. So they're adding an extra bit of adjustability in there. But crucially, what you'll notice when you see it is that it sits at a slight angle. Now, this is very clever because what this ensures is that whether you're putting it into a fade or a draw bias, that alone doesn't affect the way the driver spins. So if you put the weight into a fade bias setting, you might expect, if it was square, to see a little bit more spin when you hit the fade. So that's why it sits closer to the face. That moves the centre of gravity further forward. That takes spin down. Likewise, if you put it into the draw setting, you won't be taking too much spin off. You'll be creating the optimal spin characteristics to hit the longest shots possible. Now, one of the differences, or a couple of the differences between this generation and the previous generation is, I think you can probably notice that this one has a grey finish. This one was, I think they called it diamond black. This is a grey. This is sort of harks back to some of the drivers of years gone by from Titleist. It's a beautiful finish. It's a sort of metallic grey. It looks really smart and sleek. To be honest with you, this one looked pretty smart and sleek as well, but this is very good. It also has a slightly different sound to this driver. You're going to have to hit it yourself to see what I mean by that. I loved it. I really loved it. But yeah, sound, as they say, is feel in golf clubs. This one felt very, very solid, probably more solid than this one did. So I think they've really nailed the sound on this driver. So that leads me on to how this one performed versus my previous generation driver. Now, the first thing to say, it's a bit of a disclaimer, is that I made a few swing changes about 3 or 4 months ago, and I have been struggling with this driver. So I was fitted for this when it was launched 2 years ago at the launch that Titleist put together, and it's an 8.5 degree head, and it's a stiff Aldilla shaft. And to be honest with you, I wasn't getting the same performance out of it as I was getting a couple of years ago. So I'll be honest and say there were advantages, was performance to be gained just by almost going through a retrofitting with it and changing the setup. So with this driver, I was put into the new Aldilla Rogue X-Flex shaft. So a little bit stiffer than I was used to, but actually adding more loss. This is up to 9.5, and crucially, the SureFit CG was in the fade setting. I'm going to flash up onto the screen now the numbers that I was able to achieve with the 917 versus what I was able to achieve with the 915. As you can see, the overall distance gain is pretty astonishing. I think it's fair to say. I was really pleased, and I think part of the reason I was able to gain so much distance was because I was looking down on a little bit more loft at address. As soon as the guys said, look, you're not getting quite the same flight, you're not creating the flight that's going to give you the optimum amount of distance, why don't we put you up a degree? I just felt much more comfortable looking down at address. I started swinging it better. Now, the other thing is that they put the weight into the fade setting, which I must admit I wasn't particularly expecting. I'm hitting a draw at the moment, so I wouldn't necessarily expect them to do anything with that. It's fairly controlled, if anything. But the fade bias just meant that one that just was going a little bit too far left straightened, and I had the confidence to swing through the shot knowing that I wasn't going to lose the ball left, which again I think just helped me swing the club a little bit better. So the numbers are there for you to see. I was running through the process here at the Titleist Performance Institute, so you know this is the best that Titleist have to offer. They really threw at me, and you can see what a big difference it makes. And I think the final point I'm going to make about this driver is that if you're thinking about investing in a new driver, you will find extra performance, no matter whether you're using a driver that was just 2 years old or whether you're using a driver that's 10 years old. you will find performance. If you are using really old technology, you'll find a hell of a lot of performance, would be my thought. So the new 917 driver by Titleist, it sounds fantastic, it feels great, but as I say, the performance is all packed in here, and it's really the toolkit. It's that custom fitting tool that's going to unlock extra performance, and they've done a really fantastic job.